And welcome back to Pewter Power, sponsored by Love Motorsports.
That's right. Chad and Bob.
Let's talk a little bit more about that game, and then we're going to roll into the Patriots. How about that?
Okay, all right. I'm going to give you that much.
I have a couple people I want us to talk about for next week, and this is for the Patriots game. Cornerback Anthony Gator.
Okay.
He was a 7th-round pick from Florida International. He had a great game for the second half. Now, he was playing against second, third, and fourth team players.
But he looked good.
But he looked good.
Yep.
And he's got motor and he's young. So again, that's a player that
doesn't have anything to do with it. We're all young.
Yeah, they're all young on this team. So everybody's under 25. I mean, he's maybe 12 or 13. I don't know how old he is. He looks young. He looks younger than my son, and that scares me. But that's okay. Also, I want you to really watch Desmond Briscoe. We didn't talk about him yet.
We didn't. He had a great game against Kansas City.
I am telling you, he was 4 for 60 yards, was open all the time. I mean, if you looked, even when they didn't throw him the ball, he was wide open.
He ran great routes.
And he has had a huge training camp. I mean, I got to go to quite a few training camps and see him play. He was catching ball. He was laying on his back and put his hand up like this and caught a ball.
Really?
Just like that. See?
That's what he's got big hands.
Yeah, threw it up there and knocked it out. I was amazed, absolutely amazed at how well he did.
So those are some players that you want to show off.
So 2 players I want to show off, and we didn't talk anything about the bad side of that game. 25-0. Normally there aren't any, but this is a glaring problem Tampa Bay has. Their offensive line. When the backup offensive line came in, they were pathetic. I mean, pathetic. Dotson, Lee, Carter. Lee we thought would start over Jeremy Trueblood. He doesn't even look like he belongs on a professional football field yet.
Yeah, Josh Johnson had 57 yards rushing. That's
because he was running for his life.
Yeah,
I mean, as a total, the defensive line did much better. Even the backups did better. They had 6 sacks overall, a safety, and 8 quarterback hurries. If they can have 4 sacks a game or 3 sacks a game, they're an elite football team, I'm telling you, on defense.
Okay.
Quickly.
All right, so let's go to the New England game and give us your perspective on what's going to happen tonight.
Well, what I'll do is I'm going to give you the keys to the game. We do keys to the game every week during the regular season to give you 3 things that we look for Tampa Bay to do to be sure they can win that game and what positions them the best to have a chance to win the game.
Correct.
Okay? My first key to the game against the Patriots is LeGarrette Blount. Plain, simple, I wrote it out. Blunt, blunt, blunt.
Okay.
New England has one of the...
Time out. LeGarrette Blount, how many plays is he going to play? I mean, you're talking about second preseason game. He's still got 2 left.
Now, I'm saying this as a regular season game.
Okay,
if it were a regular season game.
I want to make sure that.
This week he'll probably play the first quarter and be out pretty quick because he played a little long in the first game.
Okay.
But in a regular season game against New England, they would run as often as possible to hold on to the ball. New England has one of the best offenses in the league.
Right.
You know, they've already got Ocho Cinco, may actually have Houshmandzadeh by the end of this week. I don't know how that's going to go.
That could go, yep.
But, you know, the 2 of those, you got to keep them off the field. My second, and I think is more important, is pressure by the defensive line. Tampa has had a problem over the last couple years with pressure on the defensive line. Now they've given up 1st, 2nd round, and 3rd round picks across the whole line. They're all no more than a 2nd or 3rd year player. That's the opportunity Tampa has to be a great football team. We have great corners and a great backfield. And they've been tested because we've had no pressure. So now we get a little pressure, we see how good those corners really can be.
Can they get the picks?
Can they get the picks now that they're going to have the pressure?
Okay.
And third, and not least, where Keenan comes in, the kicker, field position. Tampa Bay has the worst knack of getting in bad field position at the worst possible time.
Right.
And they've done it for years and years. God, I've watched them since 76. And at the worst possible moment, they'll allow a kickoff to be run back or they'll have a bad punt.
Proven last year.
Proven last year.
Big time.
Those are the 3 things I would look for in a regular game. This week, you know, New England's going to play their starters probably half of the first quarter.
Yeah.
You know, normally the second preseason game, you don't play barely anybody.
Well, Brady didn't even play last week at all for New England.
He'll play a little bit this week, I would think. But none of them are going to play more than a quarter at all this week.
So if you're going to the game or you're at the game now, you know, get there early because if you're going to be there,
you want to be there for the beginning to see the starters if you're there to see the starters.
Exactly.
People like us, I like to see all the other players because we're going to see where we're going in the next year or so.
Correct.
Because they've got 90 players on their roster right now, so they're going to end up cutting 30-some players in the next 2 weeks. Now, some of those are going to go to the practice squad. Some of them are going to hang out there and go to other teams, and others are going to wait around to see if there's any significant injuries that are going to cause changes in the game.
And next week we'll have some more information on those cuts and what we think those players are going to be.
Like as we know this week, they picked up a corner.
Right.
Which is, what's his name? Ashton Ubudi. You booty.
Well, you just blew
booty.
my question there, big
Well,
boy.
we'll see if they listen later. We'll see if they listen later. He was a third-round pick by Buffalo in 2006. He was cut by them in the offseason, and they picked him up. He's more in the Aqib Talib type player. There's a Rondé Barber type player at corner, and there's a Talib type player at corner.
Well, let me ask you this: is that to just in case? Is it just in case?
It could be a Talib in case.
Exactly.
It could be any of those reasons. And there's a couple of the corners are hurt right now too. So they're banged up. So he's going to get a little chance to play later in the game, probably tonight at the game.
We'll see. How the first string safeties start working with Tom Brady and Ochocinco back there. Karim has got to be ready to go.
It'll be interesting to see how they do in the first quarter against a team like that.
It's going to be. This is a test I think that's going to be needed. Maybe I don't like the second game. Maybe the third or fourth game for them. But Miami's next week, so we'll see what's going on with that. But
I'm always so interested to see how they do against a good defensive line. Kansas City has a great defensive line, but a lot of them didn't play, and a lot of them have had no practice. So as we get further into the preseason, we'll see how well they block for Blunt. Blunt's going to be the key to this season for Tampa. He has got to get the yards this year. Can he be a 1,500-yard back? Oh, absolutely, he can be a 1,500-yard back.
They're going to rotate him out with Aaron Graham, though?
I don't think they are. At practice, I've watched him a lot, and they've spent a ton of time on him catching the ball out of the backfield. So we're going to see. I think by the regular season, you're going to see some little flip-outs come along.
Okay, some screen plays and some set plays. Okay, good. Well, guys, when we come back, we're going to talk about
the entire NFL.
The entire NFL, quickly. We have the Bonehead of the Week coming up, and it's one that we can debate a little bit. Come back and see us because the game is blacked out.
And I have a quick comment when we come back about betting on preseason games because that's almost a bonehead. Just my opinion.
Just his opinion.
But we'll be right back.
Yeah.